Chapter 10 Introduction. Ruy Lopez, Breyer Variation. Hello and welcome to today's lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the Breyer variation of the Ruy Lopez. E4, E5, Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop B5, A6, Bishop A4, Knight F6, Kingside castles, Bishop E7, Rook E1, B5, Bishop B3, D6, C3, Kingside castles, H3. We have reached one of the main starting positions of the closed Ruy Lopez. White is preparing to build a strong center with D4. Black must decide how to reorganize the knight on C6 and prepare counterplay against White's center. Knight B8. This is the Breyer move. At first, the retreat looks strange because Black gives up the opportunity to attack the bishop. To understand the choice, compare it with the traditional Chigorin approach. Consider Knight A5 instead of Knight B8. Knight A5 attacks the bishop on B3. Black gains an immediate tempo and prepares to challenge White's center with C5. This active and entirely respectable plan dominated top-level practice for many years. Bishop C2. C5. Black uses the gain tempo to put pressure on D4. However, the knight on A5 may still need to find a lasting square. D4. Queen C7. Knight on the B file to D2. Knight C6. In this representative Chigorin route, the knight returns to C6 after first driving the bishop to C2. It has gained a tempo on the bishop, but has also spent another move retracing its path. Knight F1. C takes D4. C takes D4. Bishop D7. Knight E3. Rook on the A file to C8. A3. Rook on the F file to E8. D5. Knight A5. Once White closes the center, the same knight goes back to A5. Its journey has now been from C6 to A5, back to C6, and then back to A5. Bishop D3. Knight C4. The knight finally reaches C4, an active outpost. The Chigorin has achieved something useful, but the knight required several relocations while White had time to organize the center. Now resume the main line. D4. Knight on the B file to D7. Now the purpose of the Breyer becomes clear. The knight reaches D7 in two moves, from C6 to B8, and then from B8 to D7. From here it reinforces the E5 pawn and may later move to B6 or C5. Knight on the B file to D2. Bishop B7. Bishop C2. Rook E8. Knight F1. Bishop F8. Knight G3. G6. Black completes the regrouping without sending the knight back and forth. Just as importantly, the c6 square is no longer occupied by a piece, so the c-pawn remains free to advance. White normally prepares the closed center instead of rushing d5. The move b3 supports a future c4, helping white build a more stable pawn chain. Consider the immediate d5 instead of the prepared b3. d5. This immediate advance releases the tension before white has reinforced the center. c6. Black challenges the head of the pawn chain at once. This is one reason white players rarely choose the immediate d5 in this position. D takes c6. Bishop takes c6. White's advanced center has disappeared quickly. Black recaptures with the bishop, develops with tempo, and obtains active central play. Back to the main continuation. Bishop g7. d5. Rook c8. This is the better prepared structure. The pawn on b3 supports c4, and the pawns on c4 and d5 now form a more stable space-gaining chain. Black still uses the thematic c6 break, but white's center is better supported and does not collapse as quickly. The point of the comparison is not that the Chigarine wastes every knight move. Knight a5 gains a tempo against the bishop, supports an immediate c5 break, and can eventually bring the knight to c4. The Breyer makes a different investment. Black spends two moves on the direct route knight b8 and knight on the b file to d7, aiming to avoid repeated knight relocations later. The knight supports e5, clears c6, and gives the c-pawn freedom to challenge white's center. That is the central idea of the Breyer variation, patient regrouping in order to achieve better long-term coordination and flexible central counterplay. The Breyer uses knight b8 and knight on the b file to d7 to support e5 and clear c6 for the c-pawn. White should prepare the closed center with b3, d5, and c4. An immediate d5 allows black to challenge it quickly with c6. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like the video, share it with fellow chess players, and subscribe to our channel. Have you ever encountered the Breyer variation in one of your games? Tell us what happened in the comments below.